Good evening and welcome to the UTS High Performance Sport Information Session. My name's James. I work for the UTS Health Marketing Team and I want to welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. Before we begin, I'd first like to pay my respects to the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, upon whose ancestral land our city campus now stands. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders both past and present and acknowledge them as the true custodians of knowledge for this land. Okay, I'd now like to hand over to Blake McLean and Aaron Coots, who are going to be presenting tonight. Blake and Aaron, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks very much, James. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. My name's Blake. I am the course director here of our high performance sport programs in our postgraduate high performance sport programs. And we've got Aaron on the other end, who's just getting his camera up and running. Can you hear us there, Aaron?
Yeah, Guy Blake. How you going, guys? Nice to meet you all.
So we might start with a little bit of background, and then we're going to just talk through a few different things, structure around the course and kind of where it fits, where we see the opportunities with it for people coming into the course, and then we'll open up for some questions at the end. So my background, as I mentioned, I'm the course coordinator for our high performance sport programs here at UTS now. I've been here at UTS since the middle of 2019, and we started this high performance sport program at the beginning of 2020. So I've kind of joined to be part of this high performance sport program. Prior to that, I'd spent all my time working in industry. So I actually started here at UTS around about 15 years ago, or a little bit more now, as an undergraduate student. I did my honours research embedded in high performance sport through UTS, and Aaron was actually my supervisor for that honours degree. After that, I went away and did my master's at the University of Texas. And during that time, I was working collegiate basketball and collegiate soccer. After Texas, I moved to Melbourne and worked for Collingwood Football Club, where I completed my PhD research embedded within the program there, and then ended up spending about 4 years there in a couple of different roles. Following that, I went back to the NRL for a little bit. I was here in Sydney working for West Tigers, and right before moving back to UTS, I was working for Oklahoma City Thunder over in the NBA in the US. So my background's really been embedded within industry and high performance sport for the last decade or so. Really rugby league, team sports, rugby league, AFL, basketball, and the primary sports, always with connections to academic programs, UTS being one of those key ones. And so these days, this is my focus, kind of working with you guys around high performance sport programs and teaching in this program, continuing to do research in high performance sport. And so a little bit of a shift for me in the last couple of years, and really excited to talk to you guys about the program tonight, which has been up and running, as I said, since the start of 2020, and we're certainly enjoying so far. With that, I'll throw to Aaron for a little bit of his background, and then we can dive into a bit more about the course.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm a bit older than Blake, been here a bit longer. I'm the head of school here at the School of Sport, Exercise and Rehab. I've been here about 20 years. My background is I did a PhD in applied sports science embedded in sport in the 90s, before that kind of role kind of existed. Joined UTS and over the last 20 years done quite a bit of research and been lucky enough to supervise some excellent research students that have been embedded in sports programs and had a lot of success in their careers. Blake is one example of those, but we have several other, many other actually examples of those who've gone on to work in sport at the highest levels around the world. Some current alumni, head of performance at New England Patriots. We've got those overseas in Serie A, Premier League, as well as within Australia. So my background is, I suppose, preparing students to work in those. I've also been a consultant in sports in Australia in AFL until COVID hit in Carlton for the last 10 years. Before that, Essendon and then NRL clubs, but and also work some international larger organisations overseas. But I suppose the basis of my background, and my background has probably fed into the development of the Masters, the success that we've had in preparing people to work in high performance sport. We thought we could package that up and some of the key ingredients in terms of the skills, competencies and attributes that students the successful students had over those previous 20 years, we've embedded that into the program for the Masters. So now I spend my day as a head of school, so a bit of academic administration, still do a little bit of research and teaching. I teach in this Masters course, taught high performance science today actually. So I still keep the brush wet, so to speak, and definitely really keen and really proud of what we developed here in terms of putting a contemporary program to help people prepare to work in high performance sport. And so that's a bit of my background and where we've come from in terms of putting the Masters together.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Aaron. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of where we see the high performance sport landscape and where we think the course fits. Which might be a little bit, I mean, my take on that is that we're a little bit different to some other programs out there about how we go about it. As we talk through this, know that all of our content that we're delivered and our subjects, which are kind of the core subjects, are online. And then we have work integrated learning experiences embedded throughout the course. So we'll talk more about that as that goes on, but just to frame that up front. And then we'll talk a little bit about how the course works. Our facilities here at Moore Park, even though many of you might be scattered all around the country or all around the world, if you're interested in this course, we still do have our facilities here at Moore Park, which are open to our master's students who are even in the online programs. And then we'll talk a little bit about some admin stuff, student support, course fees and applications at the end, so you know where to head for those things. Aaron, did you want to touch on professionals in high performance sport and where we see the practitioners fitting that are going through the course?
Yeah, I suppose, Blake, it matches, so fits in what I said previously around what we saw as key elements of successful practitioners in high performance sport were those who had excellent decision making and critical analysis skills, as well as content knowledge. So we really have strategically, I suppose, planned to get those, to develop people who can do that. And we see the role of a high performance scientist or high performance sports practitioner as those who help build athletes to get the most out of themselves for performance, but also reducing injury and holistically as athletes. The Master's been put together where we build upon the knowledge that you come to the program with. It's a postgraduate program, so we do expect that you have a foundation knowledge, but what we build upon that in terms of teaching in the high performance sport context, high level critical analysis skills, and also the ability to translate that into practice. So they're the elements that, as I said before, in terms of the successful graduates historically from our program, and we've taken those attributes and embedded those throughout our program. In addition, when putting the program together, we put a very large consultation period with experts both within Australia and internationally when we're putting our content together and what they thought was necessary to develop the practitioner of the future. Now, clearly COVID's hit and it's been a little bit different in the last few years to when we launched it, but fortunately we did have an online and a flexible degree. Clearly the world's a little different place now, but our program is set up so we could continue to deliver the program with the exception, now it's returned to normal in Australia at least, or closer to normal, in being able to work integrated learning. We had a short cessation of that, but everything else has continued as planned, and now we're into our second year of delivering the course, and we're refining it now, but it's been very successful to date.
Yeah, those skills of critical thinking and translating all of these concepts into practice are a real focus across all of our content areas. And also kind of helping people within our program continually develop their kind of self-discovery and self-learning skills has really been a focus of how we've developed the course. Having said that, we obviously touch on some high-level concepts relevant to the area. And one of our focuses there has been how do you prepare athletes holistically across the board? So we don't only focus in on the physical preparation or strength and conditioning, or only focus in on nutrition, or only focus in on psychology. We're trying to go across those broad topics which we think are important to preparing athletes in these high performance sport environments. And so you'll see that reflected in our subjects. We've got subjects that are around management and leadership. We've got subjects around nutrition recovery, coaching science principles, skill acquisition, sports science, strength and conditioning, injury and rehab. And so we're trying to kind of develop our students in all of those areas we think are important in developing athletes.
In addition to that, Blake, we're really focused on developing people as independent critical thinkers and lifelong learners, so that like it's not just the content, it's how you think about things, and it will be the point of difference moving forward. And that's, it doesn't come necessarily from the content, it's about how you deliver the content and how students explore the content to gain their understanding.
Yeah, and I think that's been a part of the UTS programs for as long as Aaron's been here, is my take. As I mentioned, I spent a lot of time in industry, and just seeing the people come through the UTS postgraduate programs. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased because I started my study here and developed here also. But that's one of the things we felt was a real strength of the UTS postgraduate research programs over the last 20 years, I'd say, Aaron. And then that's what we've really tried to embed in this coursework model. And thinking about that as we've developed the learning experience over the last couple of years. So with that, there's a range of different roles that this course might lead to in high performance sport, thinking about sports scientists, strength and conditioning coaches, performance analysts, and then obviously at the top tier of athlete preparation, kind of the high performance manager who oversees many of those athlete preparation departments. A bunch of different industries which they might connect to as well, obviously professional sporting teams, but then also the sports institutes. High schools is a big one that's developing, and also the private sector. I think there's opportunities developing there for preparing athletes. And we have connections to all of these different sectors of the industry, and that's really where our work integrated learning fits in, that we try to connect our students with different parts of the industry and filter them into areas which they kind of want to work in the future, or gain some experience in if they may want to work in them in the future. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the subjects here. So before we jump into the specifics of the subjects, the course is completely flexible. So you can enroll in one subject per semester, or you can enroll in 4 subjects per semester and do it as slowly or as quickly as you like. We have 3 different options: a graduate certificate, which is the equivalent of 4 subjects, a graduate diploma, 8 subjects, and the full master's degree, which is 12 subjects. The content in those options is all the same. So we have 9 core subjects and 3 work integrated. Well, you need to choose 3 work integrated learning subjects, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And if you're thinking about doing the master's degree and still want to keep the options open for higher degree research, PhDs after the master's degree, we do have an option for that too. It's a little more involved and a few extra things to do there, but you can keep your options open for a PhD post. Did I miss anything there, Aaron?
No, you did a great job. Very succinct.
So this is our subjects. And you can see all of these listed on the website, but this is an example. If you were taking a full-time load and you're taking 4 subjects per semester, you can finish the full master's degree in 1.5 years if you start in the autumn session. So we have a few more subjects that run in the autumn session. And you can see all these subjects on the top 3 lines are what we call our core subjects. So really where the content is built out around them. And then the bottom line has our work integrated learning. So I mentioned that everyone needs to take 3 subjects in our work integrated learning, but we have 5 different options there. In the autumn, we have a subject called performance and culture in high performance sport. And that's really an appraisal of all sorts of different practitioners that exist throughout the high performance sport ecosystem. Really great subject if you don't have much experience in sport so far and you kind of want to get across connecting with some practitioners in all different areas. In the spring, we have a mentorship subject where high-level practitioners from sport all around the world come in, present on panels and talk about building out a career in high-performance sport. And then we connect students in small groups and individually with industry-based mentors to think about their own career progressions and planning. In addition to those 2 subjects, we have placement subjects, so professional practice 1, professional practice 2, and professional practice 3. And those ones actually run all year round. They run in autumn, spring, and in the summer. And that would be going out and doing a placement within a high-performance sports setting. And we've made that flexible so that we can fit with all the sporting codes and institutions, and that can run at any time of the year. So that's our 5 offerings in the work integrated learning package, and really where the opportunities are to connect with industry in the placements, go out and put some of the skills to work that we've been learning about in our 9 core subjects throughout the master's degree. Now, I mentioned the Moore Park facility. So we've got this lovely new facility that Aaron and I are both standing and sitting in at the moment. some awesome facilities within the building, but then also we're surrounded by a lot of sporting organisations and stadiums in around this Moore Park precinct. Aaron, did you want to talk to that?
Construction at the moment, but yeah, and as soon as they finish a new stadium, there's we're within about 400 metres of 11 professional sports organisations, and clearly that's a massive advantage in terms of partnering in industry, but also internships and opportunities to work in industry. So strategically, we built it Moore Park to align with that mission. If our brand was working in sport and embedding with sport, and it's been fantastic. It's been a couple of years now, and it's worked really good. Even better once they stop building this stadium in the next sort of 12 months.
So in the postgraduate high performance sport programs, there's no requirement to come to the Moore Park campus. You could literally be across the other side of the world and you'll still be able to meet all the requirements of the degree. But if you are in Sydney, the facilities are here and open to you. We certainly love to meet people in person. So if you are coming through Sydney and you don't live in Sydney, we'd certainly love to see you and meet you in person and connect with you in that way. I mentioned that we have a range of contacts throughout high performance sport, and those are really span right throughout the world that we connect our students with. In that work integrated learning, we have a dedicated staff member who works with all of our students in the high performance sport programs. And how that kind of works is when you come into the program, that staff member will reach out to you and say, "Hi, my name's Liz." Her name is Liz. And she will say, what's your background? Where do you want to head with things? And how can we go about building out your work integrated learning experience most specific to you that's really going to meet your needs? So do you take the performance and culture subject? Do you take mentorship? What placements do you want to take and what kind of experiences do you want to gain?
On that, Blake, it's like we know we've got a variety of people with different backgrounds coming into that program. So there might be some new graduates and there might be those that have worked in industry for 20 years. And so we tailor those experiences accordingly. And even we allow internships to be done within your workplace if you're working within high performance sport, as long as you meet the learning objectives of each subject has different learning objectives and different experiences. So it allows you, for those who are time poor, to do it within the workplace and to compete at sort of kill two birds very efficient with one stone in terms of doing your work. Alternatively, in experience, we can give a broad breadth of, introductory positions in a variety of, whether it be government and national sports organisations, professional sports, or private school sectors. We have the ability to tailor that to your individual needs. And a large part of that work integrated learning program is you understanding yourself as a professional, career mapping and mapping the experiences that we give you to help you get to where you see yourself moving in the future. So that's an essential part and one of the key ingredients of the program.
Awesome. If you're enrolled, you have all the support services available to you that we have here at UTS, Student Centre, the library resources, language services. UTS Canvas is the online platform that we use. And we've spent a lot of time, this course was really designed to be in that online space. And we work with an expert learning design team to create an engaging experience in the online space. So it's not just that we dump content online and you go through and read all the content and you're good to go. We actually run on a week by week schedule. We're all working on similar activities, the same activities each week. The teaching staff are giving you feedback on that and going back and forth with you around these concepts. So it's designed to be an engaging experience, but still have the flexibility that you can go through that at your own pace. So as an example, we will work on, this week we're in week 9. Week 9, did I get that right? Yep. This week we're in week 9. So we're all working on week 9 content. And I might be in the platform giving feedback to students on a Thursday morning, but they've been working on that Tuesday night at 12 p.m. And then at the end of the week, we kind of gather up some feedback around that week's content and feed that back to the students. So there's flexibility, but still we try to maintain those engagement pieces so that you're not working through all this on your own. For every subject, we have about 4 to 6 live Zoom sessions per semester. They're 12-week sessions. And so there's 4 to 6 sessions that are live, and we encourage you to come to them, engage on them. If you can't make it, we always record them and upload them post. So it's still available to you, but we do really like those live pieces and having that engagement with students.
But what we're finding, Blake, is not everybody comes to every engagement because different people work in different time zones. They've got work. They need the flexibility. And so the way we've designed it is that you can opt in or out. Clearly, we prefer you to opt in because we feel lonely sometimes on Zoom if it's not full. But we also have office hours regularly each week where you can just check in one-on-one if you need to check your progress, ask questions about assessments or check understanding. So whilst it is online, there is the opportunity if you want to, if the students choose to have that interaction. And the unique thing about Canvas and that learning platform, it's not like just watching videos one after the other. It requires collaboration online. There's a lot of online learning tools and it's designed with experts to maximise learning. And I suppose it's hard to explain in detail without you actually doing it, but it's changed the way I look at higher education, actually, the way that, the learning designers, how they've taught me, and I've been doing it for 20 years, how to put together an educational package, and we're really proud of the way it's come out.
Yeah, it's quite different. It's quite different learning style and online learning style. I think it was challenging for some of our academics here to think about doing it differently to how we've done it the last 15 years. I don't know if you agree with that, Aaron, but yeah, it was easy for me because, I was coming in new to work in this program from the industry. I hadn't been teaching a particular way for 20 years and then changing that.
And I think some of the students that have come from, who learned traditionally 10, 20 years ago and they've come back to it, they've found it a different way to learn, but they really like the flexibility. Students have graduated recently after last year, they're used to online learning, but this is actually custom designed over a long period to maximise online learning. So it's definitely a different way of learning, but it's got flexibility, but it also offers those touch points where you can remain connected with the class.
Awesome. So there's a fees calculator here. The fees are a little bit different for international and domestic students. I think James will send out this link to give the fees calculator, and let me see if I can remember them off the top of my head. So it's about full-time, it's about $10,000, just over $10,000 a session for domestic students. And if you're a UTS alumni, there's actually a 10% discount for UTS alumni also. So that comes out at $429 per credit point. So it's 6 credit points per subject, or that $10,000, that's a full-time load of 4 subjects. So we can work back from there. But for all of those details, jump into this link here for the fee calculator and you can see all of that in details, and a little bit different for international students too, if we've got any international students on the call. There is fee help support. It works a little bit differently to undergraduate. So it's not called HEX, it's called fee help. And you can have that deferred payment and loan payments. So if you're interested in that, again, check out these websites. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in all of that, but those options do exist. And there are application deadlines. Applications for spring 2021, domestic applications close 30th of June. Do I get that right, James? That's the most up to date?
Yeah, that's right.
And then autumn 2022 down the line after that. Open in July 2021. I was going to say that's not when applications are closing. So you can come in any time at the course. As I said, there are more subjects in the autumn semester. So if you start in autumn, you can finish in 18 months. If you were to start in the spring, it would take a little bit longer to finish just because you kind of have to cover 2 autumn sessions to be able to cover all the core subjects for the full master's degree. International students, we've got different application websites, so just know that if you go into the websites and the links we've sent through, look out for the different one if you're a international student. And that's the bulk of the content we wanted to cover today. We really wanted to open it up to questions from the floor, and we're happy to answer anything around the course or how it works, or anything related to the course really, or our backgrounds or program that you guys had.
Blake, you want to take the one about undergraduate?
Oh, yep. So does it matter what undergraduate degree you have? The answer to that is that we assume the knowledge of an exercise and sports science undergraduate degree. And so if you haven't done a specific undergraduate degree in that area, we can work with you to map out what you have done and where the gaps in your undergraduate studies and any professional training that you've had are. And then there's a few options to kind of fill out those gaps if you do want to come into the program. So if you have an undergraduate degree and it's in a different area, you're still eligible for entry into the program. It's just we will probably, as soon as your application comes through, you'll probably get an email from me and I'll say, can we touch base about talking about your background? If you want to get on the front foot with that, feel free to email me after this session and we can talk about your background, how that fits, what of that assumed knowledge you might be missing and how you might go about filling those gaps so that you're prepared to come into the program.
And we do teach to a reasonably high level. So, like, obviously, the assumed knowledge is definite. If you don't have it, you have to work to get it, undoubtedly. And we have other students who've done that, doing it now, who haven't had the undergraduate degree. But for those of you who want to work in Australian and sports science as a high performance manager, as an example, you need an undergraduate degree to get accreditation with the professional body. So that's not we can't assure you get that accreditation without an undergraduate degree. So that would be your responsibility. But we have, like, many international students now, several international students. And if people do the course for different reasons. Internationals don't need to worry about that as so much because they're not looking for our Australian accreditation. And others are doing it for different reasons. Well, it depends. A lot of people do the course for different reasons. The question for Mark about the prerequisites of the course, the prerequisites obviously an undergraduate degree, but if you want to get the accreditation, the sport and exercise science accreditation, the undergraduate degree would be essential.
There are no specific prerequisites, but it's assumed knowledge.
Yep.
So it's the accreditation is one thing to think about. If you want to go down that line, then you are going to have those undergraduate qualifications, and then it's thinking about, okay, what knowledge do I need to make the most out of this course? They're the two things to think about there.
Marcus sent a question, do we ensure we get your placement sites? Yeah, well, we do it collaboratively, but we help everybody get a placement sites. Others come with their own sites, what they want to do, a clear network and what they want to do. That's okay as well. But we definitely vet all placement sites, quality assure, and in addition, we find the majority of placement sites, because we have an extensive network in sport where Liz goes around and we rely on our networks. And so, yes, we ensure you get placement sites, but it's okay for you to get your own as well.
Yeah, I would reiterate that that's a collaborative process. So it's not that we have a placement and we grab you and dump you into that placement site. It's that we connect you with people to set up interviews and go through that process of connecting with organisations. But we've never been in a situation where we haven't been able to connect people with a placement site. But it is a collaborative process of you guys working through that with us to connect with these high-performance sport organisations.
And clearly, if you want to go to LA Lakers, we probably can't assure that necessarily, but we can definitely get high-quality sites. Like if you want a specific organisation, we definitely get a organisation that matches what you need. And we've got a fantastic network in high-performance sport. We've got Gian with a question, and we've got another one in chat. So Gian, have you got a question you want to ask?
Hey, how you going? Just based on what you were saying just then, I was just wondering, do you have any contacts in Adelaide for that, or?
Well, we actually have a student in Adelaide, don't we, Blake?
We did have. He moved to Sydney for a placement opportunity, but we do have connections in Adelaide. Yes.
He didn't
move. He didn't move to Sydney just because he couldn't get a placement. He moved for an opportunity he thought was great. But yeah, we've got connections in LA.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because I've got family in Sydney, so it'd be easy for me to move over and stay with them while I'm doing the placement. But yeah, I was just wondering, if you had people here or not. But yeah, sweet.
Yeah, we would help you source them there, Gian. Yeah. So if we don't have them, we can source them. We've got an extensive network.
Yeah. Sorry. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got students everywhere. We've got one student based in Toronto. We've got other students scattered throughout the US. One student who's in China. So if we don't have a specific connection in that place, likely we can help you work through it and through our networks find a connection for placements in that location. Unless you're in the middle of nowhere, then we might be struggling.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
So I've got a question from Mo. There's also got one for Tamara on the other chat. So I'll go to Mo first. What happens in the case the undergraduate degree does not provide ESSA accreditation as we do, but provides other accreditation like ASCA? Mo, you can still do the degree, but in terms of getting the accreditation with ESSA, so it's not our requirement, it's ESSA's requirement as a professional accreditation that you have an undergraduate, or you can map equivalency. Quite often, if you have an exercise science degree that's not ESSA accredited, you can get an individual mapping of your experience to show that you map against the undergraduate requirements. So we might be able to assist you do that in some ways, but you can do that already with ESSA if you've got an exercise science or a human studies degree, and you can map that plus your professional experience against their competencies. You can map that. Now, you don't need to have an ESSA accredited undergraduate degree to do our degree, but you do to get the professional accreditation. That's the difference, I suppose. There's another one in chat I saw, Blake, I'll find from Tamara, I think. Can you see that one?
Tamara, are there compulsory and core subjects that must be done, then others are electives? The answer to that is no. It's completely flexible. The only prerequisites are that if you do professional placement 1, 2, and 3, you have to do them in order. So they have different experiences embedded in professional placement 1, which feeds into professional placement 2, professional placement 3. All of our core subjects, of which there's 9, don't have any prerequisites to them. It's just assumed knowledge, which all comes from the assumed knowledge of the exercise science undergraduate. And you can take those in any order. We've designed that to be completely flexible and deliberately put no prerequisites within the course so that you can take those in order. That also plays into if you wanted to do a graduate certificate, which is 4 subjects, you can pick any 4 subjects, any 4 core subjects, and take those at any time in any order.
And with Charlie, you have a question about how many students are coming out working in high performance sport. Well, we're still we haven't finished our first intake yet. They're still going. I know of one example's already, Blake, that they've got a job out of their internship. A bit early to tell with that one. Now, also many of the students already come with work experience or current work. So a bit early to give you an answer there, Charlie, but what we do know is already one that I know of, Blake would know much more than me, has got employment that's probably the best answer I can give unless Blake's got more to offer there.
Yeah, we've had a couple of examples. One person placed in the internship, job opportunities come from that. And then just a connection that some job postings have come about and people have been placed into jobs, not through graduating, but just through exposure to those job opportunities through our degree. So if we have jobs that come up, sometimes those are like part-time jobs or casual jobs in sport, we feed those into our students. And then also as higher level jobs pop up, we have connections to connect people as well. But I would say, again, I'm not unbiased here because I started my journey at UTS, but there is many UTS graduates who have come through the not high performance sport, but postgraduate programs focusing on high performance sport here at UTS, working in high level sport across Australia and around the world. And so if you dig a little bit into the industry and the people working in athlete preparation, there's a lot of UTS graduates scattered around the world in that area.
Yeah, but we've got another one from Thomas. He works as a fitness trainer, PT, group fitness, and wants to upskill within the field, in the PT, fitness trainer field, not necessarily professional sports. Would you pursue a degree like this? Now, our degree is really focused on sports. Like you could benefit from the thinking, but it's not focused on group fitness, personal training. It's focused on athlete performance models, leadership in performance, environments, developing elite performers, coaching. So there's definitely relevance to group fitness PT, but it's definitely not aimed at that. It's not taught in that context. It's taught in a high performance sport, and whether that be at all levels of high performance sport, from youth athletes through to masters athletes, in a variety of sports, but it's not aimed at the group fitness market. So that probably wouldn't be for you in that case.
Yeah, we're not. When we say high performance sport, we're not specifically focused to professional or Olympic athletes. Our definition of high performance sport is any athlete that's working to improve their performance. So you could be a high level amateur athlete or a high school athlete, and if you're working to improve your performance, that's really what we're set up to support. And talking about all those high performance sport ecosystems that exist throughout the industry.
We teach you how to understand performance, the factors that affect performance, and all the myriad of physical, psychological, leadership aspects, all that underpin that environment and feed into developing people as better athletes. And the second question for you, Thomas, what would the approximate load per week be for one subject? As I'm hearing at the moment, quite a lot, because it's 9 weeks in. Listen, it is a pretty work intensive. We have expected a lot. We've got good standards, high standards. We've got high quality assessment pieces. Was it, Blake, about 8 to 10 hours per week per subject, right, is what we expect. If you're doing 4 subjects, it's a full-time load. But we have many who do 2, 3, 1 subject, depending on their circumstance. But it is, we don't make apologies, it is require a bit of effort to do, because that effort creates return, and that produces a better graduate.
Yeah, so that 8 to 10 hours a week encompasses everything. You might spend 2 or 3 hours a week in the online platform working through the activities, checking in on readings, but then you've got extra time on top of that to actually go through and do the readings that are available, work on your assessments, and think through all of this material as well. So to get the best out of it, definitely 8 to 10 hours per week. But that's not all just clicking through pages. That's to encompass everything that's in the course.
Yeah, and we've got a question from Alex down there in the chat. Will the course allow more face-to-face courses in the future? We didn't plan this course as a face-to-face course. We planned it as an online. The face-to-face content comes with the work integrated learning. We did originally plan to have intensive courses at the end of each semester, but we've managed to provide flexibility with these using different forms of teaching, and COVID has taught us that we can do without that. We probably may have some face-to-face going forward, maybe once a year, surrounding where we'd include our high performance students together. We've got quite a few now, and where we get that, because there is some benefit in getting them all together. But the complexities and the lack of flexibility of the online solutions probably, and plus the way in which we deliver it using Canvas and that learning design team, has been much more effective than I ever thought would have been possible.
Hey, just on the sports work integrated learning, I think you probably covered it before, but just checking in. So you said that there's the the 3 different placements you can do. Can you just do 2 of them and then one of the other thing, was it? Or did you have to, if you do the first one, did you have to go all the way through?
Yep. So you need to choose 3 subjects out of those 5 options. So we've got performance and culture, mentorship, and then 3 placement options. So if you didn't like the look of performance and culture or mentorship, you could go through 3 placements, or you can do performance and culture, mentorship, and 1 placement, if that makes sense. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So I just wasn't sure if it was if you chose the first one, if you had to go through with it for all the way through or not. But yeah, thank you for that.
No. You could, and if you only like the look of one of those subjects, the performance and culture or mentorship, you can do one of them and 2 placements.
Yeah,
just
cool.
3 subjects all up out of those 5 options.
Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you.
We have a question from Charlie about in classes we work with athletes. Well, because our classes are online, we definitely have athletes online and interact with athletes online. But in terms of working face-to-face, you can't do that online. But we definitely have, Blake and his subject brings several elite athletes in to do that. But ignore my phone ringing in the background. We also, in the workplace learning, is where you probably get your biggest interaction with athletes, coaches. That's why we have so many options in that regard.
Yeah, there's athletes and staff from high performance sport embedded right throughout. We think the athlete's perspective is really important. So we have, content that's created where athletes are talking about that, and videos embedded or stories from athletes. And then we also bring athletes into some of those live Zoom sessions that I spoke about. So they're definitely there, but still online. It's not hands-on working with those athletes. They're just part of the course delivery, like our coaches and sports scientists, strength and conditioning coaches, that we bring in people from the industry.
One more from Tamara there, Aaron, if you want to go for that.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Tamara. Okay, I know you mentioned it doesn't matter if you didn't do an undergraduate unless you wanted accreditation, but someone hasn't studied, will they struggle? Well, Tamara, will they struggle? It depends on their background, right? You definitely a lot more work to do if you haven't got an exercise science background. Health science is okay. We've got students who've done that, but they definitely find it more difficult, particularly in the subjects that I teach and Blake teaches that are pretty heavy science background. Others, they won't struggle at all, but definitely more work is required. Blake, you probably have a better position because you're the director to answer this than me.
Yeah, we've got plenty of people that have come in with backgrounds that are not an undergraduate in sport and exercise science, and there's an individual pathway for each of those people. So, we have some people who go and take some undergraduate subjects because that's the best way to get them to where they want to go and have the best background coming in. But as Aaron mentions, if there's someone who has some related study, and then there's a little bit of upskill we can do with additional readings, I've got all sorts of resources to point you in the direction with their, readings and undergraduate subjects that line up. So if you fall into that category, please reach out to me and I'm happy to talk about your specifics and how that could potentially look for you. Also playing into where you want to head with things. plays into the decision making there too. So if you did want to be working face to face with athletes on a daily basis, then the accreditation might be an important thing. And then that's a different pathway to if you've got slightly different goals. So really difficult to give a blanket answer. If you fall in that category, I'd say reach out to me, send me an email, and I can talk to you about your specifics and what I think would be a good pathway.
And the other group, I suppose, Blake, get sort of related to that. Those who haven't studied for a long time. It definitely takes a bit of, to get you back to studying again. If anybody comes back to professional development after a while away, but we work with you, and obviously, if that's your case, we work with you to help you to manage that. We understand, obviously, that time away, or you come from a different background, that you might need a bit of extra attention. But we do obviously point you in that direction. A lot of it's self-directed as well. In that, we'll point you in the right direction, but we expect you to do that extra work.
And James, do you guys see those contact details? Did I share that right?
Yeah.
I can see.
So you guys, we were.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say my email's up there. Please feel free to email me about any questions that you have from a follow-up. This particularly if it relates to your individual situation. Happy to work through that with you and help.
One more question from Kelvin.
Yes, Kelvin. The answer is yes. Obviously, it doesn't automatically
happen.
The undergraduate.
Right? If you have the undergraduate.
Yeah, if you have the undergraduate. So if you have an undergraduate, Kelvin, and you do all the placement sites, we've mapped a degree to meet the current ESSA guidelines. I don't know if you know Blake's on the ESSA Sports Science. What committee you're called? The
advisory group.
Advisory group, and I'm on the ESSA board. So we've mapped it to that. And moving forward in the future, it may be that the entire degree will get mapped and the degree will be accredited, but that degree option's not available at the moment. It doesn't exist. As soon as it does exist, we'll have it mapped and we'll get ours mapped so the whole degree is accredited.
Yeah, it's not automatic, so you still have to apply to ESSA and compile all of your competencies with your hours. But if you do all 3 placements, we've really set it up so that you're going to meet all of those competencies, and we can help you compile that. We just can't give you the accreditation. You still have to go to ESSA, show them all of those documents and competencies, and then go through the process there.
Okay, would undergraduate internship turn out the current jobs at Fresh Club help in mapping out eligible? It may do, Mo. Yeah, Mo, that question there. It may do. You definitely, what you need to do to get ESSA exercise science, what we have to do, you have to meet eligibility against the undergrad. It's not against the ESSA undergraduate, the UTS undergraduate degree. You've got to map your competence against the ESSA criteria. But if you've done a similar undergraduate degree, and you've had extensive experience and other professional development that meets the ESSA requirements, you can get an individual accreditation that meets, that will be equivalent. So you might want to talk to us later individually rather than right now, but we can sort of direct you in a way to see if you map against that. Now we've had from other universities that don't have accredited degrees, and originally about 5 years ago, our undergraduate degree wasn't mapped, and our students all did it individually. But it's easy. It's a bit of work to do, but you can definitely do it.
Look, I think we'll call it there. And if you do have any more questions, please feel free to send Blake an email. Blake's put his email address in the chat there. But again, you'll be getting a copy of the slides. It has a look at our contact details on them. So again, thank you all for attending, and thank you to Aaron and Blake for delivering the presentation. I hope everyone has a great evening.
Thanks, James.
Good night.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.